Coming up, Diedrich Bader joins Illeana in just a minute.
Welcome to Popcorn Talk, featuring movie discussion, news, and interviews. Popcorn Talk. We talk movies.
And now, it's the I Blame Dennis Hopper podcast, starring Illeana Douglas. Eavesdrop with Illeana as she interviews Hollywood's most prominent players about filmmaking, acting, and what really happens on the set of your favorite flicks and TV shows.
Hello, everyone. It's Illeana Douglas with the I Blame Dennis Hopper podcast. My lovely co-host here in yellow.
Hi, everybody.
Tamara Berg. No comment about the dress. It's beautiful.
I know. Well, maybe because maybe I got it from somebody special who's
present for
sitting
my
at this
team.
table.
But I love it. It looks gorgeous.
I love it myself.
You look gorgeous.
Thank you. You sound a little
Sound better?
Yeah, a lot better.
Oh, thank
you. A
you.
lot better than you did.
I was thinking of do I have the Lauren Bacall? It's still a little bit too nasally to be like Lauren Bacall, like talking like that.
Maybe shortly after you blow your nose, it works.
Yes. So our topic today, very interesting, on my sickbed, because I'm directing this movie. You know,
Yes.
you have to do these things called lookbooks.
Yes.
Oh, God help us. In which it's surreal because you can't, I'm so verbose, you have to succinctly kind of talk about movies you like and what your movie is going to be
What
like.
your inspirations are.
Yes, and except that you have to kind of put it in 2 or 3 sentences.
Right.
And so I thought it took me all day, but it was a sort of a fascinating experiment
Yeah.
in terms of distilling what kind of stories I like.
Yes.
And so what I came up with is that everything that I have written myself, my own things that I've directed, are all about finding out sort of who you are through connections or through risk or through what happens to you when the rug is pulled out from under you, and
Adversity.
yeah,
relationship.
how I like stories where people don't want to change. They're not, it's not like they want to change in their life and they change. I think that there's something hilarious about people who fear change, who don't want to do anything different, but of course are thrust
Forced into it.
yeah, through, the rug being pulled out, somebody dies or you get fired from your job, and that through having the courage to do something, you are rewarded. And I found that seemed to be the theme in a lot of the things that I have done, like Easy to Assemble, putting yourself together.
Right.
Is that the idea is that the character just wants to be anonymous. She doesn't want to be famous anymore. She's just like, I just want to work in an IKEA and be a cog in the wheel of a workplace. And that because of that, she's thrust back into the spotlight and is kind of forced in a way to go back into show business. It's like having this gift that other people see, but she doesn't see it in herself. But it was a lot of fun actually working on that, on that theme. I don't know if that's too esoteric or deep. I sort of wondered about that afterwards. I'm like, is anyone going to understand that? And then at the end, I just said, and I like to make people laugh. After all the deep thinking.
Absolutely.
And I really like to make people laugh. But I think that's the basis of a lot of comedy is pathos.
Well,
Also,
yeah, they always talk about how the most interesting things happen in TV and film through conflict, and so that's kind of what you're saying. I need to change. I'm being required to change, but don't want to. Well, that's a big conflict.
yes, you expect one thing, and one of my favorite episodes I did was Finding North of Easy to Assemble, and again, my character is she wants to beat Justine Bateman, so she's going to be famous and popular and be co-worker of the year, and then she finds out that the prize is that she's got to ride through the Uppsala forest to receive a bag of chocolate from the head of IKEA. Like, it's nothing. It's a spiritual journey. That's like the last thing on earth she wants is a spirit. She's like, I thought I was going to be famous. And so, but of course, by going on the journey, and she just gets so much more out of it than she had anticipated.
That she ever thought she could.
But
hey, where can people watch Easy to Assemble? Is it?
I think that you can watch it on YouTube.
Is that right?
Yeah,
Okay.
I've been asked over the years. I wish I could to put it all into DVD form and put it out there on Netflix and all of that. But I think that I think you get into residuals and things like that. So as long as it's up on YouTube and people can watch it for free. And enjoy it.
I will look for it and put it on our website, which, in case you guys don't know, is illeanaspodcast.com. So yes, you can find us on YouTube. Yes, you can find us on iTunes. But if you want more information, like people's links, who else has been on the show, things like this, we also have movies that you recommend.
Got to do more recommendations.
Yeah, you do. We haven't updated that in a little while.
Way behind.
illeanaspodcast.com. Check out the blog. There's lots of stuff there.
I'm way behind with the recommendations of films.
I'm in the process of receiving one of your recommendations. It's in the mail right now because I still do DVDs on Netflix because there's movies that you can only get that way at certain times. So Maudie is on its way to me,
Maudie.
which I'm really looking forward to seeing. Yeah.
Maudie is the incredible movie.
Yeah.
Although I cried for I couldn't sleep. I cried so much.
Oh my God.
Doing that. And then the other thing, just very briefly, without getting too heavy, is speaking of Easy to Assemble, my dear friend Michael Lupino, who passed away, and I had to write his, which I've never had to do. It's surreal trying to write a memorial service for your best friend, and trying to kind of keep it together. To write again in a few paragraphs. It's like you just want to look at the audience and go, "This is insane. How am I supposed to do this?"
Yeah, of course.
Like, go have a drink, everyone. But these are things that we must do to honor our friends, and
their lives and their work and their contributions.
And since we're speaking of Easy to Assemble, you can certainly watch him as hysterically as Lance Krapp. He was always my kind of Buster Keaton, kind of silent film actor on Easy to Assemble, and he was so popular on the show and at IKEA that everyone else, they thought we were actors. The people at IKEA
thought he was the guy.
Yeah, they took Michael that was their favorite character in the show, and they used to have Michael out there in his synthetic wig in Burbank, greeting people at the door. He was just unbelievable, and he knew where everything was in the store.
Oh my gosh, that's amazing.
So he was absolutely sort of silly. But anyway, you can watch the great Michael Arpino on that.
Yeah, I will put the links on our website.
And let's bring in
do it.
Diedrich Bader, who I have known since the Drew Carey Show, which he was one of the stars of. Of course, currently, you may know Diedrich. How funny is he on Veep and American Housewife? Of course, the Drew Carey Show, and all your cult films, Napoleon Dynamite, of course. How could we forget that? Office Space. I'm still talking about you.
Bounty Sensei.
He's voiced characters from such animated shows as BoJack Horseman. Now you've lost me. Tangled the series, Justice League. I'm not a big animation person.
Okay.
Milo Murphy's Law. But please welcome Diedrich Bader. And I haven't seen you in a while.
Yeah,
so thank you.
Last time I saw you was at Paul's party.
Thank you for doing this.
Oh, I'm so delighted to do this. I love your book.
Oh, wait,
I was just
thank
reading
you.
it out there.
Really?
It's really engagingly well written.
Oh, thank you.
I really enjoyed it.
Thank
you talked
you.
about your first. I was reading about your first time in working with Robert De Niro.
Yes.
On Goodfellas, and having the one line and trying to hit your line out of the park. And
Did you ever have that? Were you just a bad actor?
yeah, I did.
It's like after all the no, I mean, because if you read in the book, I mean, Sanford Meisner, their training was like as if it were in the 50s and we're all leftist communists.
Yeah.
And then cut to I'm a horrible bad actor, and Robert De Niro's gonna get me.
I was cast in Dracula.
What?
with Francis Ford
No.
Coppola's Dracula with Anthony Hopkins. And can I just launch right into it? Or we've already
Please.
started. All right. So,
Please.
So I play the Dutch student. And my line is, but Dr. Van Helsing, you have yet to explain your theory, like that. And I guess because of my name, they just thought I was German or something. And I came in and I had this whole speech before,
Yeah.
like for the audition piece.
Yeah.
A lot of people don't know this, but in a lot of features, they don't do this. They do this less in television, I used to say. In features, though, like if you have one line, they give you like a chunk to memorize.
Yes.
And so when you get it, you think, oh, it's kind of a big part. Like I'm going to be working with Anthony Hopkins, so I've got this big line. That's great. That's not it. That's that one little thing. But anyway, so I was intimidated to be working with Anthony Hopkins, but my day went, how much time do we have? It's kind of a long story.
Go.
We have an
All right.
hour.
Got an hour.
All right, so I'm getting my sideburns on and the trailer, and
I'm
it's
already
great. And we got the middle
palpitating.
part. I had more hair then, so I could do the middle part. And Winona Ryder walks in. She looks at me, looks completely thrown, and leaves the trailer. And then before I know it, like a PA comes in, he's sweating. And he goes, Diedrich. I go, yeah. He goes, is there any way you could not be here? And I go, I could leave. I mean, that's one way to do it. And he goes, that'd be great. That'd be great. So then I was like, okay. And the makeup lady was like, all right, but I only have one sideburn on. So I walk out and I go out of the trailer and I go to the corner of the studio, right? And at that time, I smoked cigarettes, and so I was having a smoke and just standing on the thing. Winona Ryder comes out of her trailer, and she sees me, and she goes, kind of jumps a little bit, goes back into her trailer and slams the door. I'm like, that was weird. And then I hear like the PA goes boom, boom, boom over to her trailer. Goes, this one. And I see him look over to me, and I'm like, huh, what's happening over there? And then he goes, like that, does a little nod, closes the door, and comes over to me, and he goes, is there any way you could not be here? And I'm like, well, yeah, I could, but I am supposed to work today. At some point, I need to go and we'll do your makeup on the set. I'm like, okay, fine, yeah, that's fine. So I go on, they finish my makeup on the set. And so they're putting on the thing, and I hear two PAs converge over me, and they go, Winona Ryder went home. And I don't know, something threw her. I don't know what happened. I was like, oh, God, I hope I don't get fired.
Oh, no.
I don't know what happened. So anyway, Anthony Hopkins, who's extremely gracious, comes over, and he has this German accent, and he goes, I heard that you are playing the Dutch student. So I think, oh, we're both going to do Dutch accents or German accents. So I just go, yeah, I'm playing the Dutch student. It's a real pleasure to meet you. My name is Diedrich, and I can't believe that I have the chance to meet you. And he goes, well, I'm very, very glad to meet you as well. And so we're both talking in these German accents the whole time. And then we start shooting, and I have the one line, and then it's like we have this classroom that goes up, 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 and there's a lot of extra atmosphere, I should say. Nobody says extras anymore. And then everybody sort of like gives a little applause at the end or something. Like, no, that's right. All right. So I go, but Dr. Van Helsing, you have yet to explain your theory. And he goes, well, I'm glad you asked, because and then boom, 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 this extra comes in and hands him a telegraph. And he's supposed to open it and read it. Then you do an insert shot of the guy saying, you got to come to London because, all kinds of crazy things are happening. So the prop guy put too much wax on the thing, right?
Sealing wax.
To seal it, right? So he goes, what is this? To the extra. And the extra goes, it's a telegraph. And he goes, a telegraph, and opens it, and everything, and then the end of the shot. Coppola comes out of his trailer, comes kind of like that, and he goes, I love that. Loved it. And he goes, oh, you did? And he goes, yes, I loved it so much because this is a man of technology. This is new technology. He's kind of acknowledging the fact that the telegraph has come and changed. And now, into his classroom, which was before this reserved space, and now science has changed all of that. I love it. And he goes, yeah, I liked it very much as well. So then the next time, the extra is ready this time, right? And he's got a German accent all of a sudden, too. Oh, no. Because he got a bump up or whatever, he's figuring in his head, like, now I'm in a movie with Anthony Hopkins. And so he comes in and he goes, I do my line, which is now really diminished in my eyes. So I go, but Dr. Van Helsing, you have to explain your theory. I'm waiting for Coppola to come up and say anything. It'd be great, but no, nothing. And he goes, the extra comes on, heads up, and he goes, what is this? And the guy goes, a telegram. A telegram? A telegram. Pops it open. So, like, cut to, I don't know how many takes, 15, 20 takes later. This is now, my line is basically forgotten. I'm just setting up the guy that comes in and says the telegram. And he goes, what is this? Like that. And the guy goes, a telegraph. And he goes, a telegraph. And then turns to all the extras and goes, a telegraph. And they all go, like it's the funniest thing anybody ever heard of. And they rap on their desk like that. Apparently that was a Dutch thing to do. I don't know. Somebody is an expert somewhere. I don't know. But we're all rapping on our desks and laughing at the telegraph. Then Coppola comes back out and goes, cut the telegraph bit. You, to the extra, say nothing. That was it. Walks back. And then I was like, so we sat down for a little bit, and I went, that was very strange how that all transpired to Anthony Hopkins. And he goes, yeah, that I thought we were going somewhere with it, but then it went nowhere. And now I don't think it's going to be in the picture. And I went, that's sad. And he goes, yeah. Where in Germany are you from? And I went, oh, I'm from Alexandria, Virginia. Never spoke to me again. That was it. I was out. He thought I was conning him the whole time. I guess I was, but I really didn't intend to. I thought, oh, we're doing our technique
That's what
together.
we're doing.
That's
Yeah.
what we do. That's how we're rolling right now.
Yeah.
But no, he was really mad at me. And then I was cut out of the movie. So if you watch Dracula, I'm not even in it. They invited me to premiere, which in retrospect was really nice. At the time, completely devastated because I wasn't in the picture. And I went with a girl. It was a date.
It's happened to
And
me
you didn't
too.
know until the premiere, right?
Had no idea. I was
Yeah,
like, my scene's
it's happened
coming
to
up.
Me too.
The scene's coming up. Here it comes. It goes. That's it.
Have you ever seen Anthony Hopkins since?
No, I never have. I wish.
Would you
I
break?
doubt he remember me.
You know, it'd be so funny because in my experience, because I've had things like this happen.
Okay.
Jason Lee. I've told this story many times.
All right.
I had a funny interaction many years ago with Jason Lee
Yeah.
at an airport, and extremely memorable.
Okay.
And years later,
How could it not be? It's you.
Oh, come on. It's Illeana Douglas.
And years
God's
later,
sake.
I was at a party.
Yeah.
And Dave Merkin, who's been a guest here, said,
Yeah.
Jason, do you know Illeana? I said, oh, I know Jason. We met at an airport.
Yeah.
I started telling the story. Jason goes, I've never met you before in my life. So so you know.
Not only is it a denial, it's a smackdown denial.
Exactly.
So
That's a
you're
little intense.
You're a liar.
Like, that's aggressively, it verges on rude.
Yeah. So.
I think it goes past that. I think it goes right into rude. It's rude. Just gonna
So
go and say.
I'm just curious if you, I can just see you going, Anthony, I got this very funny
Funny story about you, yeah.
And just be like, I don't know who you are.
Well, I was doing a radio tour. I had just finished Miss Congeniality 2. And you know those radio tours, they start you at like 4 in the morning.
Oh.
You know, you have to do the East Coast drive,
Yeah.
right? So you get up, it's very early.
Yeah.
So we're getting up to be like 7:30 or something like that. I've been at it for 3.5 hours. I haven't gone to the bathroom. And they decide William Shatner's in the picture as well. So they're like, all right, so we're going to be in, I don't know, Colorado or something next. I go, great. They want to patch you in with Shatner. I go, oh, that'd be fantastic. I'd love that. And so he gets on, can't remember me, has no memory of me at all. I'm like, we had dinner together with Sandy. No.
No.
Yeah. And he goes, I go, we had many days together. We were together for close to a month. He goes, no, I don't remember. I played the gay guy in the picture. I haven't seen it. Okay, well, and then I decided just to go for it. So I went, don't you remember after the dinner we decided we'd go for a ride together? And he goes, no, I really don't. I don't remember that. I go, yeah, you remember. I took a picnic. No, we had champagne under the tree. We were overlooking Vegas. You don't remember that at all? And I went, I can't believe it. How dare you? And I hung up the phone.
That's hysterical.
Went to the bathroom. The phone was ringing when I got back. And the publicist said, are you all right? I'm so sorry that Shatner didn't. I went, oh, it's fine. I'm fine. I really had to go to the bathroom, and I couldn't figure out a way to get out of talking anymore because I've been talking for 2.5 3 hours forever. Anyway, so I expect people not to remember.
What happened with Winona Ryder?
Oh, that's the end of the story. I never heard anything
You
about
don't
it.
know.
So I deeply threw her. I'm not even sure why. I have no idea why.
And have you ever run into her since?
Jason Lee. I'm just saying it's gonna be.
No, I don't think I have.
Well,
I'm trying to remember. I think I've seen her at a party, but
To you, I want to ask the most important show business question.
All right.
For many, many, many years, I would never tell stories like this, like about Jason Lee, because I'd be like, oh God, you can't,
what if we work together?
Yeah.
What if he's the star of a show, knows that I told this story, and he's going to shoot me down?
Once I wrote the book,
Yeah,
it just
you've
was
already-
like,
you're done with
you go, I don't care anymore. It's
don't care
funny. It's
anymore.
a funny
It's funny.
story.
Yeah.
It's funny, and who cares? Did you reach that point?
I'm there now. I'm there
mean-
right now.
I mean-
This is the spot. You're the exact moment where I'm going to burn all the
The
bridges.
nadar.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well,
No,
they're not
there is a
intending
point
to
where.
be mean.
Well, no. Also, there's a point where you kind of know that it has less to do with any of the things that you used to think were important, and more to do with the project itself. And
Yeah.
so whether or not you tell a story about somebody being rude to you, it really means nothing.
Yeah.
And also really, who cares? It's better to tell the story and feel good about yourself rather than feel like you're keeping a secret all the time.
I
You
think
know?
so.
Yeah.
Well, plus, just to get it out there and have it be funny.
Yeah, absolutely. And to
know.
know that it's funny. You're a funny person.
That Anthony, I'm going to remember that for as long as I live. That's
So mad at me.
hysterical.
So very mad at me.
Where in Germany are you from?
Antonio, you're from Bader. Or Bader, he would say. He would say Bader, of course,
Yeah,
because
Bader.
I'm German, yeah.
That didn't go anywhere.
No, really.
I
he was
love
very mad at me.
that. Oh my God. I should.
Alexandria, Virginia. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we're gonna go back to Virginia,
Yeah.
where you grew up. Do you remember? I know a little bit about that. You like silent films and stuff, but would you remember the first movie you saw and who took you to see it?
I don't remember the first film I ever saw. I know that it was a black and white old movie, because that's really all I ever saw. When we lived in Paris was when I kind of came into my consciousness. And so it was either a Fred Astaire picture, because I just love those desperately, or the Marx Brothers.
Yes.
I loved Harpo a lot.
Yes. Well, it's funny. I gravitated towards Groucho Marx, but so
He was very funny, but I loved the mute characters more
Yeah.
than anything. I love those that couldn't express themselves any other way other than just through silence. Because I had basically just learned English, and then
Yeah.
we moved to France.
I know.
And I was thrown into the deep water, and everybody spoke French except me and my family, and that was it. And,
Yeah.
And I never really picked it up, if I'm completely honest. Like enough to get by.
Right.
But I was really deeply alienated right from the start, and it was through those silent characters that I found a way of expressing myself. And so, but my absolute favorite, I've never actually told the story on camera, so I'm sort of excited about it.
Oh, cool.
So my absolute favorite was Charlie Chaplin. That combination of physical comedy and sentiment was something that really appealed to me.
Pathos.
Yeah, the pathos. Because I mean, if pound for pound, probably Keaton is funnier, but Chaplin has a great storyteller, and
Yeah.
he has such heart. And I think that's the thing that really got me when I was a kid. And when I was little, we weren't the most effusive families in the world. We're all kind of academics. And so I assume that if this incident hadn't happened, I'd probably be an academic right now. Ironically, now I play one on television. But I had worked out a little Charlie Chaplin act in my room. When I say my room, it was really where my brother and I slept. But when he was not in the room, I worked on my Charlie Chaplin act. I never did it for my parents or anything like that because I was afraid that they would make fun of me. So there was a theater that was throwing that was showing my sorry, I'm telling this badly. Showing a Chaplin picture, but it was my favorite theater in Paris because they had live musical accompaniment. So they had an organ player that would improvise to the film. And I really loved it. When I was 5, that was like the greatest thing that ever happened. I would watch the two of them interact with each other, and I just loved the guy that played it. My mother's best friend, Audrey Schur, took me. And the film caught and burned. And everyone booed, and the lights came up. And I jumped up and I ran in between the crowd and the screen, and I did my little Charlie Chaplin act.
Which was what?
Well, it was like, the pantomime, and then, doing the walking around and
Yeah.
pretending like I had a cane, and then picking up pretending I had a flower and smelling it, whatever, pantomime.
yeah.
And then at the end I did the roll. But the organ player played. That was the great thing.
Oh, my God.
He knew me because I
Yeah.
always came up and said I was a fan or whatever. But so he played for me.
Oh my God.
And the audience just went a little bit nuts.
Yeah.
And especially the old guy in the front who was saying, "Bravo, bravo." I'll never forget it. Although I did forget it. And then I saw the Chaplin movie with Robert Downey Jr. And in the beginning of the picture, his mother has a psychotic episode on stage, and the audience starts booing. He's like 5, and he goes, "Nobody's going to, boo my mother." And he jumps up and he does a pantomime act, and I went, recovered memory, totally recovered the whole thing, because it was the incident that made me an actor. That is the most profound incident in my life, but
Yeah.
I had forgotten it,
Oh my God.
and it all came back to me, like crashing back to me. So I asked my mother. I came home and I went, "I just had the most profound memory. You have to tell me if I'm completely making it up or if this really happened." She goes, "Oh yeah, Audrey took you." "Yeah, that was a while ago." And I go, yeah, no, I know, but it was a big deal for me. And she goes, "Yes, no, that happened." That was, my mother was not the most sentimental person in the world, so she was like, "Yes, it happened." Yeah, so movies made me in a way realize that I was an actor. It wasn't a moment like, I think I could do better than them, but it was that how fun it is to come up with something that's both learned and spontaneous, and do it in front of a crowd and have them respond.
Do you like some of the later Chaplin movies, like Limelight?
Yeah, sure, I do.
I love
Mr.
that.
Verdot, or whatever the other one
Yeah.
is, the last one where he's a murderer.
It's always brilliant.
Yeah, he's great. I mean, he was truly remarkable. I wish that Keaton had the length of career that Chaplin ended up having. I was obsessed with Charlie Chaplin for a very long time. When my parents went to Switzerland, I was like, "Did you see Chaplin?" Because he was still alive at this point. They were like, "No." Flummoxed. Why would you go to Switzerland if you weren't going to meet Charlie Chaplin? But yeah, no, it was deeply affecting to me. And then old movies have stayed in my life in a very real way. We generally just watch those with the kids, and then my wife and myself. I can watch the same movie over and over again. I could watch His Girl Friday forever. I could not watch anything else, and I could watch that a gajillion times. You talking to me? Yeah.
I feel the same way.
Yeah.
I feel the same way. Well, I feel like on Veep, you've got some His Girl Friday overlapping dialogue.
Oh my God, yeah. Well, a lot of that has to do with nobody really knows their lines, so they're not even sure when the cues are. Did you do Veep? I can't remember.
No, I would love to. It's I think it's the best show on television.
Agreed. When it was run by Armando, you would get the script on the day that you would shoot.
Oh my God.
So they would just call everybody. We had
Yeah.
no idea what we were going to say.
Right.
And so a lot of the stepping on each other's lines is you think your line is coming up, but it was a little after the time that you thought it was. So,
Right.
Yeah. So and then she's such a great improviser that she would just roll with whatever you did.
Yeah.
That's a fun show to do.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
That's like that's like the Yankees.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, I want to go back in time.
Okay.
I must mention that your great grandfather was the mayor of Atlantic City.
My great-grandfather was the mayor of Atlantic City, Ed Bader. Some ascribe the Miss America contest creation to him because he kind of greenlit the Miss Neptune contest, which was the precursor.
Yeah.
What I heard, and this is family lore, so perhaps it's apocryphal, that he wanted to keep people a week past Labor Day. And because everybody left at Labor Day.
Right.
And he would go to the beach with his wife and realize that while he was trying to hide that he was looking at women walk down the beach, his wife was also looking at women walk down the beach. That was his big revelation, that women look at women just as men look at women. In fact, maybe even more. They're constantly judging each other. And
Right.
so he thought, who are the people that actually make the decision of how long they're going to stay at Atlantic City? Is it the guy? No. It's the wife. She's going to stay if there's a beauty contest because she's
Wow.
going to want to go and
Yeah.
watch
Girls.
it. if you look at the numbers of the beauty contests,
Yeah.
there are very few straight guys watching the show.
It's big, well, when you're a little girl. That's
Yeah,
like,
when
we
you're a
used-
little girl, but also
God,
when you're a
we loved
woman,
it.
you're curious, you want to watch. It's just part of it. And so he made it a week after Labor Day, and that's why it was historically that date.
And do you have great pictures and
I do.
photographs from that era? God,
I do, yeah, I do.
incredible.
I actually have a collection of old photos that I put in tramp art frames around my house, especially in this one gallery. I wish I had a picture of the pictures, but yeah. So it's a two-part collection: this tramp art frames and these old pictures.
Did he have any association with either gangsters or show business people? Because it was Atlantic City.
Right. He had very little association with showbiz folk, but he did have, as anyone would, associations with gangsters. But he was very strict on them, in stark contrast to how he's depicted in Boardwalk Empire. In Boardwalk Empire, my great-grandfather is slandered, essentially.
Wow.
One of the reasons that I didn't do Boardwalk Empire was that I saw the way that he was going to be portrayed, and I did not want to be a part of that. Because although I would have been very happy to work with Scorsese,
Yes. Did you? Why didn't they fix that? I mean, that
because
must
the
have,
story is everyone is corrupt. It's just a matter of price.
right.
And so reality would betray that. I mean, look, when you portray gangsters, sometimes you're like in Goodfellas, you're telling the real story. A lot of times, like in The Sopranos, you're telling stories based on something, but it's not true. So you
Right.
can say whatever you want. But when you're telling a historical story,
Yeah.
I mean, it's not like you're portraying a Nazi. If he was a Nazi, you could probably say whatever you want about him, and I'd be
Right.
like, well, yeah, he's a Nazi, so go for it. But he wasn't. So he was the mayor of Atlantic City. He was not corrupt. In fact, if
Yeah.
anything, he was against corruption. And so I was miffed.
Yeah. As well,
Yeah,
you should be.
I think it's reasonable.
Goodness.
Yeah.
That must have come as such a shock to them that when you said,
That anyone would pass. Yeah.
Yeah.
I know.
you said, it's actually not the way it happened.
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
I've been sent sometimes things about my grandmother was a politician.
Yeah.
And about my grandfather that are completely.
She was the first elected official from California. Is that
yeah,
a female?
and there's I believe it was Abe Polanski. I think it was a writer wrote
Okay.
something. And was like, this is complete fiction. This
Yeah, it's
is
nasty
not.
and slanderous,
this
and
is-
that's the story he wanted to tell, and it fit the. That happens a lot.
And there's again pretty and they sent it to me again. Like, would you help us get this thing off the ground? Slandering your grandparents.
No, only have the one family. There's lots of shows.
I know.
Lots of shows. Only the one family.
Well, I love history. Okay, so then when you get back, so how quickly did you want to think that you could go into show business? Because you're a great storyteller.
Oh, thanks.
And you have amazing timing. So timing you're just born with, or did you?
Yeah,
just,
no, I mean, maybe.
You know what I love about you that you do? I'm going to interrupt you totally just because I had an epiphany.
All right.
You are a great listener, and you do a kind of a delayed, like, I hadn't thought about that. That's like one of my favorite
Does it
things.
feel mannered to you? It's not. I'm actually genuinely thinking about what you're
No,
saying.
not at all.
Okay.
Is that it's as if you're translating it in your brain as somebody is saying it to you. And this is I thought this was one of the hallmarks of the Drew Carey Show. Why isn't the Drew Carey Show in syndication?
Well, it's
I ask this all
somewhere
the
now. Somewhere, I think
God, I
on
love
Laugh
the Drew
TV.
Carey Show.
Well, thank you very much. Yeah, it was. Yeah, I mean, I thought it was a good show. I enjoyed being on it. I loved being in front of a live
surreal.
audience. Yeah. Drew. That was Drew's sense of humor. He was. He took us in a very odd direction. When he got more control over the show, he took us into the directions that people now remember us for, like the musical numbers, and the kind of surreal aspect of it, and saying it's a show, doing a whole show about Emmy moments, for example. I think
Yeah.
that was one of my favorite Drew Carey shows, where we all walked into a spotlight and had an emotional talk about how we felt about things, because his whole argument about the Emmys were, they would always show not the funniest moment, but like when somebody on Friends cried about something, and they'd go,
Right.
"Oh," you know, and you go, well, "That's not actually why you watch a comedy.
Yeah.
Comedy is, yeah, there's a little bit of heart, but really you want some comedy.
Yes.
You want to relax at the end of the day." And so we had a whole show based on like giving everybody their moment, which I thought was a very funny show. But that's all Drew. Drew was very good about that. That's for sure. And I loved being in front of a live audience. That was really genuinely fun.
That show was I did it I think 3 times.
Yeah, a bunch of
and it was my only experience, which I absolutely loved, of working very late at night, and
Yeah.
they would like Drew would sort of throw the script out,
Yeah.
and then somebody would come up to you with like a line on a napkin.
Yeah,
Like, say
totally.
this.
Yeah,
Now
say
say
that.
this.
Yeah, yeah.
Now say this. Until it was just dizzying, and the audience would get this crazy fever.
Totally live. Yeah, totally live. And they loved it. They loved the fact that we were live. I mean, Drew did a very interesting thing. He started, when we first started, like everybody tried to get their lines right all the time. And he realized that the audience wasn't participating. So he would have one of us screw up in the first scene. So the audience would go, "What just happened?"
Yeah.
And then we would improvise a little thing, and then we'd go back and do it again. All of a sudden, they were present.
Yeah.
And so every single show, you might have noticed, we messed up, and we were like, whatever. No one cared about messing up because we knew the audience really was with us at that point.
Yes.
And that was one of the great things. I mean, we did, the first year we had some bad audiences, but then towards the end we had, like, one of the nightmare, probably the worst audience I've ever had, if I'm going to go on a little tangent here. Because when you are on the first year, you haven't aired, particularly when you haven't aired on your first year, you have to pay an audience to come in. And so who do you get? Who is going to be paid to sit in an audience of a show they've never heard of? Who are these people? And so the worst one we ever had was half Marines and half Hemp Society. So the
Great.
Marines, we had Krista Miller on the show, who was a kind of attractive girl, and every time she came on stage, they'd go, "Woo!" like that. Like, so we all knew that they were straight.
Yeah.
And so, like, they may be sitting in kind of a theatrical environment. Don't be mistaken. They are straight men and find her attractive. Other than that, nothing. Crickets. Never laughed at a thing.
Yeah.
Because that would be kind of giving in a little bit. That might be a little less masculine.
wow.
It's the worst. Hemp Society, they laughed at everything. Every single thing. But late. So they would get halfway through, like, you'd hit your joke,
Hysterical.
nothing happened. So now you get halfway through the next line. Bah! Well, now we can't use the joke or that next line. So we just went, we got about halfway through the show, and Bruce Helford, our executive producer, as you remember,
Yes.
was like, I think that's it for the audience. I think that's it. We're going to have everybody go home, I think. Yeah. Because it's going to be better if we just, I think that was the
Start
one time
over.
we used canned laughter on
Yeah.
the show. Because we had no audience, essentially. Because they were just, as I say, Hemp Society. Even when you showed them the second time, you'd think like the second time they'd go, joke's coming. No,
Yes.
they still were listening to it like it was completely live. Get halfway through the next line.
And did you have
How many other sitcoms did you do? How many other live, like, in front of an audience sitcoms?
well, I did Seinfeld, which I've spoken about here before, which was incredibly intimidating. I did the
bet.
last
Heard of that
10
show.
episodes of it. And,
That's a big deal.
And as soon as I got in the diner, I
Yeah.
was frozen,
bet.
and I was just like,
Yeah.
I just kept staring at Jerry
So,
Seinfeld.
yeah.
It was like,
I'm working with Jerry
I can't
Seinfeld.
believe I'm here. This
Can
is
you believe it, everybody?
It's
Yeah.
incredible.
I know.
And so
I felt that way on Veep. I did feel that way on Veep, working with Julia and with Hugh Laurie. I had a scene with just the three of us, and I froze up because I was like, I can't believe I'm here.
yeah, it's a pitfall that you can
Yeah.
fall into.
Yeah.
That you just have to like,
You got to ride through it.
yeah,
Yeah.
and it's hard to be funny.
What I realized later was that they were feeling the same way about me.
Of
course.
they were.
I get it.
I was such a fan of the Drew Carey Show, so I was thrilled to be on it. But then, of course, the very first thing I had to do is be in a sleeping bag with Drew.
Yeah.
While, I think
Sorry.
while a raccoon
Yeah.
watched us, and he was telling me that he had bought like $100,000 doll or something.
Real dolls. Yeah, real
yeah.
dolls. Yeah.
Before, that movie came out.
Right. Lars and the Real Doll, which made it cute.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it was a slightly,
That was before that time, though.
it was slightly disconcerting.
More than slightly.
to be told
Yeah.
to be told that.
Yeah.
And it was like, and action.
And action.
But it's
There
always
we go.
like, do you have that, like, where people, sometimes people will say things to you, I find men mainly.
Right before?
They're nervous. And they say something
Very
really
strange right
Right
before.
before you're supposed to make out.
You know, I just watched Frost Nixon last night, and Nixon did that before almost every time with Frost, just to kind of throw him off. Just sort of interesting. No, I've never had someone try to intimidate me in that way. Or I haven't gotten it. Like I thought, oh, they're just making conversation, and that they're terrible at it. I've never had really anyone throw. I mean, you know, a guy's experience is entirely different. This is what has finally coming out with the whole Me Too thing. A
Right.
guy's experience in Hollywood is very, very different than a woman's experience. So I've never had that. I've never had somebody really throw me off like that, with me really getting it or being thrown off consciously.
Yeah. Craig Ferguson also was very nice to me on the show.
Yeah, Craig's great.
And he was interesting because he came from a movie background. He's had an interesting career, and then he was on that show again, like playing, I don't know, just kind of larger than life. It just became surreal. His coming on the show.
Yeah, and
crazy
his British
costume.
accent was really hilarious. He was intentionally doing a pretty bad British accent because it was his revenge for all the Brits that had done terrible Scottish accents through his whole childhood. It was pretty hilarious.
Did you have any idea, like, as he's sitting at one of the desks, or as your boss, that he would later have a talk show? It seemed to come out of left field.
You know, when I heard that he was auditioning for it, he had taken his son, Milo, and I had taken my son, Sebastian, to this place nearby that has trains, like decommissioned trains, called Travel Town. And you meet a lot of dads there because it's fun to take your son there because kids love engines, and guys do too, if we're honest about it.
Yeah.
So you get to walk around the engine and all this to climb over. Anyway, I heard that he was auditioning for it, and up until that moment, I hadn't thought that he would be a good talk show host. But when he told me, I went, oh, wow, you are so perfect for that.
Yeah.
Because he's very, very quick-witted. And also, he's a good listener.
Yeah.
And he takes in what you're saying, like a good improviser, and runs with it. And you know, that whole bit that he did of just tearing up the notes or whatever was real. It was legit. He just kind of winged it, which I liked. You do a great thing too, which is that you do the research and you wing it. You're doing both.
Oh, I do both.
Yeah.
Well, I love talking to people.
Yeah.
Okay, so then after I want to talk about some of your movies aside from Drew Carey, and I didn't. I also want to mention Ron Stiles.
Genius.
You had such great chemistry, and again, you guys knew how to ride laughs.
Thanks.
No, it was.
Yeah.
You know, that talk about, like, as I said, my memory bank of
We
when
were-
you asked me about other sitcoms.
Shameless. How we would work the audience. Yeah.
But that was genius. I mean, it was. Have you guys done anything together since Drew
No,
Carey?
I'm trying to get him
Oh.
onto American Housewife. I really want to get him on American Housewife. So we're done for the year, maybe next year.
Yeah.
He's expressed some interest in it, which is basically all the green light the guys need in order to get him on. So I'm hoping that it
Hysterical.
works out. He is truly, you know, genius is a word that is tossed around all the time, but he is one.
Yeah. Well, as a comedy duo, I mean, speaking
I
of,
was
like,
standing in his shadow. I was very lucky to be around someone that incredibly, meteorically talented.
Yeah.
Just truly amazing. Just like a sparkler. Just fun to watch. And I just went with it. You know, he taught me yes and, which is the greatest rule, and so I just went with whatever he was doing. And I absolutely delighted when I made him laugh. Like, and I could see him laugh at something because he was so reluctant a laugher that you could see it like crumble inside him. Like, no, no.
you guys are great together. Okay, let's talk about. So I did, as I said, I did my research. I love that you wanted to be a Shakespearean actor.
Yes.
You know, what is your favorite Shakespeare play?
Othello, without a doubt.
Wow.
Yeah, I love that it's on an island. I think about it all the time because, in a weird way, fame is like an island, and Othello could only happen on an island because otherwise someone would come up and go, "Your wife's great, dude. It's fine. You're doing great. It's fine. You're a good dude." So that's probably my favorite. Yeah, I was going to be a Shakespearean actor up until this is to digress, but I'm going to tell a story.
Yes.
About working with older actors. Okay, so I was going to be a Shakespearean actor. I'd given up the idea of being a screen actor, and I was really inspired. And then I went on vacation with my parents to Santa Fe, New Mexico. I went to a dinner party of a local artist. My mother was an artist, and she knew artists everywhere. And a casting director was at the dinner party. And she said, you should come in and read. And I went, no, I'm going to be a Shakespearean actor. And she goes, just for the experience, why don't you come in and just have a read, see what you think. And my parents actually encouraged me to go. So I was like, all right, I'll go. So I read for the young gunslinger role. It was going to be cast as a local one scene. And she goes, you're really funny. And I go, thanks. She goes, not a funny role. So, but you're naturally funny. So I think you should read for the young deputy role. Now, it's a regular, so the guys would have to approve you. It's not going to be a local part. You're going to be competing against people in Los Angeles. It's kind of a Barney Fife character. I was like, I don't know. Then after like 5 auditions, I really wanted it. I couldn't believe that it was what was coming out of my mouth. They were like, can you ride down the middle of the street shooting people off the top of the roof at full gallop? Both guns out with explosions happening. You're a local. I was like, yeah, I can. I can do that. So I had no idea I was going to pull that off. Sure enough, didn't, because the camera never lies. But that was my first close-up ever, but was shooting guys off the roof, which was kind of fun anyway. Anyway, I got to be friends with the cast, as you do. And there was an actor in it, Lee Dubrow. And Lee Dubrow had been around a really long time. I recognized him. And so it was I guess like a Friday or something like that. And he goes, hey, so Bader, what are you doing tonight? And I go, I'm going to go see Chinatown. And he goes, oh, yeah? And I go, mm-hmm. And he goes, have you ever seen it? And I went, no. And he goes, like that. And I thought, that's just kind of a weird thing to do. He's sort of an odd dude. Didn't get that before this moment, but you're sort of strange, aren't you? So I was like, okay, Lee. Well, I guess I'll see you later. And so I'm in Chinatown, and Jack Nicholson gets his nose cut open because he's nosy, right? And then there's some cops. Cops give him a hard time. And a young Lee Dubrow walks in and goes like this to Jack Nicholson. And I went, oh, I know that guy. And he just did that gesture to me, and now it was just for me, and I am here now. And I realized how incredibly cool it is to have a moment in your life, frozen like amber, like smoke, this beautiful thing that we do together, and then all of a sudden it's just there forever. It's there forever now. And I went, I want to be a screen actor. I want to be a screen actor. I didn't know. And then that was it. Lee Dubrow. I never said that to him. I don't even know if he's still alive now.
What a great story.
That is a great story.
I know.
Right? Isn't that good? And I was like, okay, weird old guy.
You did that to me once. I was at a reading, but I again, in my idiocy, I was sitting next to, which I totally planned. It's like Tom Arnold and Daniel Day-Lewis.
Right.
We were doing a reading with Paul Newman.
Wow.
So, of course, I was like,
Gotta meet Paul Newman.
You've got to get the chair next to Paul Newman.
Yeah. Come on.
And I had it in because he worked with my grandfather.
Yeah.
But so
Where did
I
you work with your grandfather?
HUD.
HUD, right? Of
So,
course.
but anyway, I planned it
So perfectly, yeah,
Brilliant.
yeah.
Can I get you some water, Mr. Newman? I suddenly was
Genius.
like, and he goes, I'd like some water, and I was like, perfect. Got the water, and then
Right.
sat right next to him.
Right, yeah, genius.
But anyway, so I said, my grandfather, blah blah blah. But anyway, just as we were about to read, he did that, and I was like, is he doing the thing from The Sting? Like, is he doing?
Oh, right, the whole, yeah, right, very good.
But I didn't know. I was like,
Yeah.
But I didn't know.
Speaking of The Sting, your grandfather also worked with Robert Redford in The Candidate, right?
Yes, The
Yeah.
Candidate. Oh, incredible film.
It was a great movie.
I love
What do we
that.
do now? One of the best lines ever.
Oh.
Yeah. Yeah.
He loved that movie, and I got to talk to Robert Redford about that too. Okay.
Did you? Oh, how cool is that?
Yeah, I don't want to talk about me, but this movie I did, I auditioned for a film. You ever had this happen? I've had this happen like a lot.
Okay, what is it?
Okay, I auditioned for a film.
Yeah.
I do not get the part, the
That's happened to me a lot.
big part.
Okay.
And they go, but we like you so
like having
much.
you around.
And would you just come in and do this just a day, but would you consider doing it?
Yeah.
And then you're stuck.
And you're stuck there.
Because if
Working
you
your
don't
set.
do it,
right.
you look like a bad sport.
You're a bad sport.
So that's what happened with Mr. Redford, and I played Ray Fiennes' girlfriend. The part was cut from the film.
Oh, in the quiz show.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Ray Fiennes,
Which I hated.
who had been in.
Because it needed a little more Illeana Douglas, let's be real.
That's the thing I was missing most. Yeah.
Ray Fiennes had just come off of a movie, maybe you've heard of it, Schindler's List.
Schindler's List. Yeah.
Which you
yeah, I
talked to
have,
me
yeah.
about the whole time.
Right.
It was cut from
Ray
the film.
Fiennes talked to you about it the whole time?
Yes.
Oh, that was fun.
Yes, I played his girlfriend.
Was
It
he interesting? Was he a
Oh,
good guy?
lovely, lovely guy.
Yeah.
But
He
Robert
played
Redford.
Van Dorn.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
Robert Redford on the day. I've got like 2 lines in this thing. So I'm in 2 scenes.
Yeah.
And Robert Redford, he says, Mr. I get this thing. Mr. Redford would like to see you in his trailer.
Oh.
I go to his
What's
trailer.
happening now? Okay.
He says, "Come in, Illeana. Can I get you something to eat?"
Yeah. Water. That would have worked.
Talks
Yeah.
about what he talks about my grandfather, but
Sweet.
like after the first hour, he goes, "Do you know the writer Richard LaGraveness? Richard, come in here. This is Illeana Douglas. Her grandmother is, the AD. Like people are going insane. We're in hour 2. Hour 2.
He does what he wants. He's Robert Redford.
There's
having a good time.
extras at Ray Fiennes, who was just in a little movie called
called
Schindler's
Schindler's
List.
List, yeah.
And I come out of this trailer.
Right.
I've been anointed.
Right, of
Talking
course,
about
you're like a
Redford.
goddess, yeah.
And then I'm
How did they all know
then-
that you were? I mean, not to be too sexist about it. How did they know you were talking that whole time? I don't know if I were sitting there and the trailer door was closed. I might be thinking something else.
really.
Well, just kind of like maybe talking a little here and there.
I think he likes to talk. Well,
He's
plus
a talker.
Richard LaGraveness was there for at some point.
That might have thrown me a little
Oh,
bit. Yeah.
you know what? Also, that's when I was with Mr. Scorsese, so I don't
Oh,
think
there we
they
go.
would
All
have.
right, yeah,
there
you
would
don't
have
wanna-
been-
you don't wanna mess
there
with
would have been-
Scorsese.
There would have
Yeah.
been death involved with that. I want to talk about Beverly Hills.
Hillbillies?
Yeah, Beverly Hillbillies. You work with Penelope Spheris
Penelope
right
Spheris.
after she did Wayne's World.
That's right.
And how did that come about?
She had directed the pilot and then the first couple
That's
episodes of the
right.
series that I did, my first series,
That's
called
right.
Danger Theater, where I played the searcher.
Mm-hmm.
And so she and I got along on that, and
Mm-hmm.
she fought very hard for me to get the Beverly Hillbillies. Fought very hard for it.
Yeah.
And I only got it because of her. The picture was not very good. I
Mm-hmm.
don't think it really holds up, although I haven't seen it since it came out.
Well, it's got great cast. Lily
I
Tomlin.
mean, Lily Tomlin was lovely to work with. Cloris
Cloris
Leachman,
Leachman.
Dabney Coleman, still the best timing I've ever been around. In
Oh my
entire
God.
life. Dabney Coleman has the best time. Have you ever worked with Dabney?
I have not. I've worked with Cloris Leachman.
Yeah.
But tell me about Dabney Coleman. He's a little intimidating for me.
I loved him.
But he's like, great, like Tootsie.
Oh yeah, Tootsie's great in.
9 to 5,
Yeah,
of course.
and what's fascinating about being with him is his timing is really the best thing that he has, and he in my experience of dealing with funny people, he still to this day has the best timing of anyone He is the only one who's really broken me while I'm shooting with him because his timing is so perfect,
Yeah.
so diamond-like. That he's unassailable. So I started rewatching films as I was working with him that he was in, just to see why I didn't know his timing was so amazing. And I found that every time I laughed, he was in a 2-shot, and it was his own timing and not the editor's shot, not the editor's timing. It's his timing, and like in 9 to 5, for example, he'll do some scenes with Jane Fonda where he's funny, yeah, because he's curmudgeonly and he's dark and edgy. But when he really made me laugh was when he was in a 2-shot and was able to take his own timing based on what she said. He would say something else, even though the line wasn't particularly funny.
Right.
The way he thought about it, and then the way he responded was genuinely funny. And I worship that guy's timing. I think he's really masterful.
Were you able to tell him that?
Yeah, I did. I did. I mean, I think when I first started working with him, he thought, I was this rookie kid because I kept laughing when I was working with him, and I wasn't laughing with anybody else, which he didn't know. Of course, why would he? But I thought he was really genuinely funny, and so. But after a while, I was like, I'm sorry, I just have to tell you that. And he goes, no, I get it. It's hard to work with somebody you grew up watching. And I went, no, that's not it. Your timing is just so impeccable. It's throwing me off. Like I can't wait to hear what you have to say because you take this perfect pause. And I'm like, he's going to say something. It's going to be good. And then I laugh. So, he was happy about that.
I
But,
love that.
Yeah.
Well, I feel you have the same quality.
Well, I learned it from Dabney Coleman then, whatever I have. But,
I
yeah,
lo-
no,
I-
it was fun. It was fun to work with him. Jim Varney was also really fun to work with.
Yes.
Yeah.
And any crazy Cloris Leachman stories?
Yeah, if you want to hear him, because everybody says she's bonkers, and it's pretty
she's
close
nuts.
to true.
I've done two. I mean,
Yeah.
in a lovely way. I've done 2 films with her. She's completely crazy.
Although
We went in.
both the first conversation I really had with
Mm-hmm.
Dabney was that Cloris Leachman was the best he had ever been with. I can't use the actual words because I was told earlier that I can't curse. But he told me that she was the best he had ever been with.
Wow.
And I have heard subsequently that Warren Beatty also said that. And I was like, Warren Beatty, so 3 a day for like 80 years. And she
And
was
Cloris
best.
is number 1.
Number 1 made you think. Like, number 1.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's pretty high up there.
I'm
like,
writing
there's no
that
other
down.
number. There's no
Just
number
saying.
that's higher than that. Okay, so my Cloris Leachman story is this. So Penelope,
As if you could.
Penelope was tough to take notes from. She yelled. She was a yeller on the set. Although I personally liked her, she yelled. And
that.
because I was brought up in a waspy family, no one raised their voice. So I was unaccustomed to anyone yelling. And so I shut down when that happens. Like, shoo. As everyone who's dated me would know that if you start yelling at me, that's not going to help anything. I'm not going to fight with you.
Yeah.
It's not going to happen. That's not how a fight with me goes.
Right.
We're going to have a discussion, or I'm going to leave.
Right.
So it frustrates people that get frustrated at me because I'm like, I can't engage like that. I don't yell. So that's not going to happen.
Yeah.
If you want a boyfriend that yells at you, you should probably move on. Anyway, so she was a yeller and gave some notes that I didn't necessarily like very much sometimes. And I would sneak in stuff, a lot of which made it in the movie, I'll say. But anyway, Cloris would also give me notes, which were directly contradictory to the notes I was getting from Penelope. So I was getting notes from Penelope and from Cloris, 2 very strong women who both wanted their way. Whenever I didn't do what either one of them said to do, they would get really, really mad at me. And everybody, hey, there's a recurring theme, people getting mad at me. So she'd get mad at me, and finally, the only time I've ever really lost it with someone was with Cloris. Because she came up and gave me a note, and I had just been yelled at by Penelope, and we're up into 3-4 weeks now. And I took her aside, and I said, you have to stop. And she goes, what? I'm just trying to give you, and I called her all kinds of curse words. I just let it rip in a way that I'd never heard myself speak. And I shut her down, and I was borderline mean to her. And she giggled like a little girl, like it was the funniest thing and most charming thing that anyone had ever done in her life. And then she kept trying to get me to be mad at her. And I'm a hard nut to crack, but it is possible. So I started getting mad at her, and she loved it more and more. The more I got mad at her, the more she loved it. The ADs noticed this. It was difficult to get her out of her trailer. So they would have me go get her out of her trailer. I'd bang on her door. God damn it! What are you doing in there? Oh, I'm sorry, Diedrich. I'll come right down. God damn it! Get out! Okay, I'm sorry. I'd come down and she'd go like that. I was like, all right, just go. Good God. Like that. So anyway, she loved it. So,
my God.
end of the movie, end of the shoot, beginning of the movie.
Yeah.
We're shooting in Northern California for Arkansas. And it's like Sonoma. Beautiful. So it's the opening scene, and Jethro's supposed to be eating like a ton of stuff. And she has managed to get into everybody's close-up. Whenever their line is, she's in the background.
That's
Pretty remarkable. Like how she was able to block her scene so that we're behind everyone, stealing focus every time. It's incredible. So by that point, I was like, you're not going to steal focus from me. I know exactly what you're doing. So while you are on camera, I'm going to do something so hammy, there's no way anyone's going to be looking at you. I don't know why it was a contest at that point. Anyway, we just shot the master, which she managed to get herself in a new shot. And she comes up and she goes, I have one note. And I was like, we have gone over this. She goes, just one note. We've gone over it. And I storm off into the woods and I go have a pee. So I'm having a pee. Cloris Leachman comes up to me, starts talking to me. I'm like, Cloris, for God's sakes, I'm urinating. She goes, oh, drops her pants, her panties, pees right next to me. And I go, all right, What's the note?
That is the greatest story I have ever. I've done 2 movies with Cloris, and
Yeah.
you have captured her more in a way.
Oh,
that,
thanks. So you
That
say.
is, yeah.
She's quite a character.
Oh, she's crazy. But like again, when you were describing her, whatever scene you do, you're like, why is Cloris taking silverware
She's in my shop. Yeah.
behind me?
Yeah.
Suddenly,
Not only doing silverware, but also doing like whatever she can in the background, like
Oh.
this, where you're like, what? I can hear the book.
she was doing she was doing a death scene in which she was like, she refused to die in the death scene.
Like Peter Sellers in the party. Yeah.
Yeah.
She's like still dying.
Yeah.
You're like, die already.
She was like, I think I'm just napping, and then I die off screen.
Yeah,
She was trying to convince the director.
Yeah, that she's not going to die in the
Yeah.
picture where she's supposed to die. Yeah.
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 They're comforting her, and later she dies.
Oh no,
It's like,
so that was a crazy. Yeah. I wish that I'd worked with her twice. I would love to have worked with her again. I loved bumping into her. She was very social and just really charming. She's a very charming woman. She's lovely to be around.
yeah. She's unbelievable. She also said we had an AD that was rather large, and he was trying
Oh,
to.
that's going to be.
Yeah,
that's gonna be a
he
problem.
was trying to diet all the time, and he was upset because somebody said something to him, and she said, "What's the matter, Brian?" And she said, "Well, Kevin said I look fat," and she said, "Oh, honey, the world thinks you look fat," like just as if that would not be a problem.
I know. So
Anyway.
I did a CSI
Yes.
that was written by Chuck Lorre. It was called 2.5 Murders. And
Oh my God, that sounds like an old Mannix.
it
or
was
something.
where it was supposed to be like, because he had worked with Roseanne.
Yes.
And so it's about the murder of Roseanne. And the murderer is actually a Tom Arnold type character. So the Roseanne character was played by Katie Seagal. The Tom Arnold character was played by myself. And, right? And I thought Tom was going to remember this when he walked up. Had no memory of it whatsoever. So I was absolutely delighted.
Another recurring
Yeah.
theme.
And so Katie
Jason Lee.
Seagal goes, so you worked with Cloris? I was like, yeah, I worked with Cloris. She said, I grew up next to Cloris. And I went, oh, what a lovely, charming woman. I hate Cloris. I was like, how could you hate Cloris? It's fantastic. What are you talking about? I was a chubby child. And all she did was make me feel bad about me being chubby. And I think I have, the weight issues that I have about trying to stay skinny all the time because of Cloris Leachman. And I was like, oh, I get how that would be really horrible. I'm sure Cloris would look at you now and say, you look great. And that would just irritate the hell out of you.
Yeah.
Because, yeah, you do look great. At the same time, it's torture.
Yeah.
And she tortured you. Yeah. No, she has a thing about people's health.
Yeah. You aren't going to win with Cloris. That's
Yeah.
the thing. You just have to, you just have to go, okay, this is it. And this is,
She's obsessed about her own health. She's lasted a long time and
Yeah.
been as sharp as a tack. My wife worked in as a kind of the house manager of the Westport Country Playhouse. And Cloris was coming through Westport with a show. And it was in between the matinee and the evening show. And my wife was in the lobby getting all the programs, tucking them into little things to make sure everything was all right. And Cloris Leachman comes out and goes, and my wife goes, then she was a teenager, she was like, Miss Leachman, can I help you with anything? She goes, come with me. She goes, all right. So she follows her through the theater. She's like, Miss Leachman, is there anything particularly wrong backstage? Come with me. You have to see this. I was, all right. Is there something wrong that you want me to? Because I can go. No, just come with me. They walk backstage down the stairs. Did you ever do the Westport Country Playhouse?
no, but I've been there.
It's a big barn.
Yeah, of course. Beautiful.
Yeah. Well, now the Newman took over. It's fantastic, but it used to be kind of beat up. But lots of people performed there. It was really great. Anyway, so they go down into the dressing area, and they walk into the dressing area. My wife's like, is there anything with your dressing room that I can help you with? Because that's a different department, but I'd be happy to come with me. She walks into the bathroom and she goes, is there something wrong? And she goes, look, I want you to look. And my wife is like,
Oh, no.
okay. She gets closer and closer, closer. And there is an albino poop. And she goes, it's a pure white poop. And my wife goes, congratulations. And she goes, thank you. I had to show somebody. And then just flushes it.
She's one of a kind.
Go
All
ahead.
right. Let's get your call. We're going to run out of time.
We
Oh,
got
sorry,
it.
sorry.
We
No,
got
we're
like 2
actually-
minutes.
Oh, 2 minutes.
Yeah.
Watch American Housewife.
Yes, watch American Housewife,
Yeah.
of course. But when you do, you've got these 2 cult movies that you're
Yeah.
in.
Napoleon Dynamite and Office Space, yeah.
Are you thrilled that you're in a cult movie
Oh,
like that?
totally.
That people can come up. I mean, for me, it's Ghost World. I've got a couple others.
Ghost World is awesome, by the
People
way.
come up and quote
Yeah.
the lines.
Oh, yeah.
You know.
Because it's awesome. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, people know every line of Office Space. And
I
every
always
line of
wanted to be in a
Napoleon
cult movie,
Being
too.
a cult movie, it's like...
so great.
It's like when John Lennon saying a working class hero is something to be. Like being a cult movie actor is something to be. And
Yeah.
it's something I'm very delighted. Every time I've tried to make a studio picture, they have done badly. I don't know if that's my taste or me or whatever.
Yeah.
But doing an indie and having it go is something that's sort of exhilarating. You know, you go on a set, there's a skeleton crew, and frankly, no one really gets these scripts. Lots of agents go, well, there's this.
Yeah.
And then, like, no one wanted me to do Napoleon Dynamite. There was nobody in it. They had no money. And,
Yeah.
you know, the director hadn't directed anything.
Yeah.
And, but I thought it was funny. That was that. And so I just showed up, you know. It was just after the 9th, or between the 8th and 9th year of the Drew Carey Show.
So as you're shooting it, did you feel like when I was doing Ghost World, which I often say it plays better now than when it came out, but I knew we were onto something,
Yeah.
even if only 3 people saw it.
Yeah. When I met John, and when I tried on my pants, those are the 2 things. Because that script, Napoleon Dynamite,
Yeah.
made me laugh so much.
Yeah.
I still think it's actually a funnier script than it is a movie.
Wow.
I could not stop laughing. My wife told me to shut up. That's how much I was laughing because I read it in bed,
funny.
and she was trying to go to sleep, and
Yeah.
I could not contain myself. I could not contain myself. He reminded me of this guy I went to school with named John Bartholomew, who was just the weirdest kid I'd ever met, and would do things like eat his chapstick, but never with anyone else seeing him. Like it was something I would only see. We were in basketball practice, and it was like when, you know, because I'm an old guy, so he would it was when the flavored chapstick just came out,
Yeah.
and he was just putting it on like it was the most exquisite, sensual thing in the world, and then goes. Just eats it. And I was standing in line in the basketball practice, and I was like, Bartholomew. And they go, what? He just ate his chapstick.
No, he
look
didn't.
over, and he's
No,
like
he
putting it in
didn't.
his pocket. No, he didn't.
No, he didn't.
I swear to you. Yeah. So he reminded me of John Bartholomew, who I just called out on the, anyway.
Have you done any dramas? I mean, aside from the
I
television
prefer not to.
stuff?
Yeah, I prefer not to. I prefer doing comedies because I feel great at the end of the day.
Yeah.
You do a drama, you feel sad at the end of the day.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I'm not into it.
So even if you were offered, I don't either. I like to do comedies.
Yeah, comedies are fun. I have a good time. I enjoy a set.
Mm-hmm.
I enjoy keeping a set very lively. I tell too many stories on a set. I keep everything bubbling along.
Yeah.
You can't do that on a drama because everybody's concentrating so much, and I'm like, hey, where's the party? I think, I get that some people consider it a serious career. I
Right.
consider it a really fun thing to do.
Well, it seems like it. I
Yeah,
mean,
I like to have a good time.
my last question: when you're relaxing, like, what are the kind of? You said you like to watch old movies.
I do.
What are some of your favorites that you like?
That I can watch over and over again?
Yeah, or that you can recommend.
Oh, that I can recommend. That's sort of interesting. Yeah, I mean,
You said Chaplin.
yeah, I mean, I would say, everybody would say Gold Rush, but I would say At the Circus has some really funny bits in there. There's a donkey that truly hates him, and it's a recurring bit. It's never explained, but it's truly funny. There's a monkey that attacks his face, which has to be one of the funniest things I've ever seen. I saw it first when I was a kid, and I almost exploded. And every time I watch it with my kids, I laugh like I've lost my mind. Because the monkey is beating up the star. And there's no CGI anything. The monkey's like, whack, 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 like that. And he's taking it. And it's hilarious. If you don't laugh at that, then I don't know what's wrong with you.
Do you like Laurel and Hardy?
I do.
I
Sons
like
of the
Laurel
Desert.
and
Yeah,
Hardy.
sure. Sons of the Desert, great. I think the shorts are better, and I also think their silence, especially the ones directed by George, not Summers. Oh man, I can't believe I can't pull this out. But he directed a number of their silent shorts, and they're truly great.
Yeah.
I mean, because they had that sweetness that I really, really love. I mean, I love an edge too, but there's nothing I love more than a sweetness.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like Laurel
But
and
yeah, I
Hardy.
mean, I love, I love Billy Wilder for his cynical edge, but I do love George Cukor for his sadness and for his sweetness. I love Shop Around the Corner. I would say
Ernest Lubitsch.
I love Lubitsch so much. Like I
Yeah.
would say, To Be or Not to Be is one of the funniest movies ever made.
I agree.
Just pound for pound.
Yeah.
You know,
you
has one
seen-
of my favorite lines ever in it.
Which is?
Which is, who gave them the key? Which is when they ask how the Nazis broke into the theater, and he's like, who gave them the key? And everyone looks at him like, they're Nazis. They don't need a key. But he plays an idiot all the way through. He's really genuinely
I
funny.
love that. I'd say all the time because Heil Hitler, Heil yourself.
How yourself? Seems like I should say something. Yeah, it's great. And the voiceover in the beginning is great.
Yeah.
We have to
Sorry,
go.
we're running out
I'm
of
really
time.
sorry. We have we have a deadline. We have to go. Look for
Okay, well,
Diedrich
that was-
on American Housewife.
Yes.
Also, he's on Twitter at Bader BADER_ Diedrich DIEDRICH.
Died rich.
That's it.
We covered a
Died
lot of
rich.
territory.
Exactly.
We did.
Thank
we could have
you.
covered more movies. I wish we had another hour.
Please come back.
Will you
do
come
it.
back?
We learned
Yeah.
a lot about your family. I think that's fascinating.
Oh, thanks.
You're a true, even though you're German, like
1870 we moved here. We're pretty American.
German.
German.
That Anthony Hopkins story.
He was so
That
mad at
one's
me.
for the Bucks.
And the chorus. I'm in heaven.
Oh my gosh.
All righty.
Cheers.
As we always say, everyone's life is like a movie with a beginning, a middle, and an end. And this is the end of our movie today. Thank you so much for being here. It's been an
pleasure.
absolute pleasure.
Yeah,
really
See
had a
you
good time.
soon.
Yeah,
Thanks.
Thanks, everybody. See you next time.
From producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire Popcorn Talk Network, we would like to thank you for tuning in. For questions or comments, be sure to visit popcorntalk.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of the Popcorn Talk Network. The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of the Popcorn Talk Network or its owners or principals.